Number 10. Zombie She-Hulk. First appearing in Marvel Zombies Dead Days issue number 1 in 2007, this is arguably one of the most fun versions of Jennifer Walters, depending on how you classify fun. This story takes place on Earth 2149 after a zombie plague, which you may have probably guessed by now. This comic is super dark and gory. It's kind of awesome too. Even before She-Hulk comes in, it's traumatizing. When Jennifer arrived at the Avengers mansion, she was a little shocked to see the current condition of the Avengers, you know, being crazy zombies and all. It wasn't long at all before she herself was zombified, and after that point, ooh, look out, Buster. She then went on to kill Franklin Richards and his sister Valeria. So you can imagine the look on the Fantastic Four's face when they returned. They weren't too pleased. Specifically Susan Storm, who blew up Jennifer's head with a force field. Ew. Number 9. Future Imperfect She-Hulk. Taking place in the Future Imperfect storyline, of course, this version of She-Hulk is a bit strange. See, here she's referred to as Shulk, which I like better than She-Hulk. Has a better ring to it. Shulk. Kinda sounds like when you drop a wet bathing suit. Shulk. So specific, but there you go. So in this issue, we have the Abomination, the Hulk, and the She-Hulk. And after a nuclear fallout, they're much more powerful. See, the Hulk ended up becoming Maestro. I did a list about Hulks as well, so if you like this one, go check out Maestro and other crazy versions of the Hulk over there. Shulk, on the other hand, doesn't have hands, rather, she has talons. So Emil and Shulk tried to take down the Maestro, but of course failed, because I mean, look at him. So Shulk ended up becoming locked away in a sarcophagus for 7 years. 7 years! So in that time, Emil took over Castle Maestro after Maestro's disappearance. And then he put She-Hulk in his bedroom where he planned to make him his wife. Okay, weirdo? So she woke up, saw Emil touching her hair, and she's like, okay, weirdo, stop. So she knocked him out nice and quick, and then learned that Betty 6 was pregos with Maestro's child. So she went into the past with Caspin with a plan to kill the woman and to end Maestro's family line. Okay, so she and Caspin ran into Cyberslick, and they tell the two where the woman is. So Shulk shows up, beats the hell out of Abomination, easy, and right as she's about to kill Betty 6, boom, Caspin kills her with his mental powers. What a ride. If you want to see this for yourself, check out Abominations number 1. Number 8. Earth 1610. The Ultimate Universe. Jennifer Walters, or no, Betty Ross. That's right, Betty Ross is playing the not-so-jolly Green Giant on Earth 1610. Making her first appearance in Ultimates issue 3, the daughter of General Ross was roommates with Janet Van Dyne in college. So Janet started seeing Hank Pym, who we don't really like, and she started dating Bruce Banner. So a couple of things happened with Bruce as he was trying to crack the super soldier serum, and he ended up becoming the Hulk, as we all should know by now. So as she watched the Hulk rip people apart, she actually grew to like him even more. She's like, strong man, I like the way you rip their spinal cords out. Let's go for a coffee. Now Bruce had actually been out on trial and been given the death sentence, being, you know, the Hulk and all. And she was devastated. So Jennifer Walters, like the Jennifer Walters, had cracked the code on the serum at this point. Betty Ross lied to Fury and said that Jennifer Walters was planning on selling the serum. Survey says that was also a lie. She was actually just pirating the new Star Trek early. And have you seen the new Star Treks, honestly? I did it too. They're pretty good, they're great. So not quite as bad as we thought, right? I mean, Betty injected the serum right before jumping out of a shield jet and landed on the ground saying, "What up, y'all? I'm Plan B." Pretty cool entry, if you ask me. I don't know if she said y'all, but she should have. Betty fought Wolverine and actually managed to gouge his eye out. Wolverine, being Wolverine, still ended up winning the battle and forcing Betty to wear a collar that will choke her to death if she becomes Shulk again. Number 7, 9939 She-Hulk. Sounds like a hotline, it's not. So this Earth 9939 is this alternate version of our common 616 Earth. So Baron Strucker, the 5th, came from Earth 8410, stay with me here, came from the future into the past of Earth 616 and killed most of our heroes that we know. Wah wah. See, most of our heroes, but not all of them. Jennifer Walters was one of the survivors, and now she lives in this dystopian tech future, even engaging in a relationship with Rhino. You know, Rhino, like Paul Giamatti. Remember Paul Giamatti as Rhino? I mean, the guy's great, never phones it in. Fred Claus, let's go. So they go back in time to defeat Charnel to prevent the dark future that they came from. And sure, she died in the final battle, but I think she pulled off enough of her own weight here. Like, Kinda crushed it, Jen Waltz. Kinda crushed it. Number 6, Hydra She-Hulk. Okay, this is a fun one. So Jennifer Walters of Earth 9997 ends up being infected by Hydra creatures that were created by Norman Osborn. I mean, look at these things. Imagine waking up to that. Well, she didn't. Yeah, like many others, when she was infected, her soul ended up in the realm of the dead. Her body, on the other hand, became the host of Queen Hydra. I feel like I'm a good vessel too. I mean, these lanky arms are kind of like tentacles. They're not as slippery though, you know? Maybe when I'm jogging, they get a little bit wet. I feel like she's slippery. I don't know, that's what I'm trying to say. So, after the new and improved Queen Hydra led the other Hydras, they dominated S.H.I.E.L.D. And then they eventually moved to New York, the city that never sleeps, because, you know, there's monsters everywhere, all the time. She-Hulk's soul remained in the realm of the dead until she was recruited by Mar-Vell on a quest to kill death. You heard me. Number 5, House of M She-Hulk. So, on Earth 58163, Wanda Maximoff gives birth to 2 twins. Vision's at her side, all is great, happy family, except all is not great. She's actually in a dark room on Genosha. Professor X and her father Magneto discussing how she is too powerful and this simply isn't enough. It's all in her head. So this House of M event is not a great time. You know, Jennifer Walters, while all this is going down, specifically in House of M issue 5, was a successful lawyer working alongside Daredevil, aka Matt Murdock. Luckily, she was one of the heroes who got their memory returned and was responsible for helping set the world back to a better state. Also, side note, I'm gonna call it now. This is gonna be the main plot of WandaVision, or at least part of it. She-Hulk being announced after WandaVision, seeing the alternate realities with Wanda and Vision, I'm on to you guys. I have some ideas. Number 4, Earth A She-Hulk. Also known as Earth 721, Earth A was home to another Jennifer Walters, of course. This version didn't have superpowers like our 616 Earth does. So she decided it would be a fun little vacation to take Albert E. DeVore's technology and travel to another universe to get the same superpowers as that Jennifer Walters. So, while on the other Earth, Jennifer fought Rhino and even had an affair with the Juggernaut. Okay, making your rounds, I get it. Not exactly my ideal vacation, but I'm not knocking it. So, of course, being another Jennifer Walters, she was caught. Then they had this plan that the depowered Jennifer Walters would go to her Earth 721, while the new powered multiverse Jennifer from Earth 721 would stay on Earth 16. How do you like them numbers? So it's a little swap, a fun little swappy swap. However, during the trans-dimensional transfer, Reed Richards was able to return her powers back to her. Nice. So they both ended up staying in their appropriate universes. How lovely. Number 3, Spider-Gwen She-Hulk. This is a fun one. Okay, I would straight up watch countless hours of this one. So Jennifer Walters doesn't have Hulk powers in this one, right? But I had to include her in this specific list because she's a regular human and she kills it. She's a regular person. She paints herself green because she wants to. So on this Earth 65, starting in issue 7 of Spider-Gwen Volume 2, Jen Walters was actually a pro wrestler. Yeah, and if that wasn't already intimidating enough, she ended up becoming Gwen Stacy's defense attorney. This show would be epic. I really hope we get something similar for her Disney Plus show. Just painting herself green, getting hyped up. Maybe she grew up watching the Avengers on the news, gets herself all amped up, slams people through some tables, go to court, shake some hands. That's a warrior right there, people. I need to see this. Debit. I'm buying this movie. Number 2, Old Man Logan. Hulk Gang! Okay, so if you don't know, Earth 807-128, even more numbers for you, was home to Hulk Gang. Now, Hulk Gang sounds like a fun time. Hulk Gang is what happens when all the supervillains take over the US. So Bruce Banner is like, hey, you know, we have some crazy similar powers, we need backup, you're the only person I can kind of mate with. What do you say? And Jennifer Walters agreed to go through with it, and it wasn't long before Hulk Gang came along. This version of Jennifer Walters is super powerful. Her, Daredevil, and Moon Knight are amongst like one of the few remaining supes. She kicked Wolverine Old Man Logan Giant Size issue 1. Go check it out right now. And finally, number 1, Lyra. I feel like I have to say it with an accent. Lyra. Taking place on Earth 8009, beginning with Hulk Raging Thunder issue 1, we find Lyra Walters, or sometimes referred to as Savage She-Hulk, is the daughter of Thundra and Earth 616 Hulk. Yeah, so she's from Earth 8009 in the 23rd century, and at that time the Earth was split into different factions. So the guys' faction were like warriors, you know, like they looked up to past heroes like Wolverine, just men, you know. And then the women came together under the United Sisterhood Republic, and they were outgunned and outmanned, literally. So Thundra got sent to Earth 616, where she met that Earth's Hulk. Had de bébé, and Lyra actually gets stronger when she's calm too, which is cool. It kind of reminds me of my mom. Whenever she was quiet and still, I knew I was in some trouble. So she's able to tap into gamma sight, which means she basically can see the flow of gamma radiation. She's one with the gamma. And like all over the world too, not just within her sight range. So she becomes a smarter, smoother fighter in this state. And if she becomes angry, however, she will actually become weaker. But even at her weakest though, she's still as strong as Spider-Man, so come on.
Number 10, Bruce Banner, Earth 12,091. Now, not a whole lot is known about this alternate universe, but they do have a pretty crazy looking Hulk nonetheless. In this reality, Bruce Banner was mutated into the Hulk by undergoing some gamma radiation experimentation, so pretty standard so far, but his appearance is vastly different than the Hulk that we're familiar with. This Hulk is like an electric green color and is a bit more risque because he doesn't wear any clothes, which is okay I guess because he's got kind of, Ken doll in it, if you know what I mean. Not to mention that he has 4 absolutely massive arms, effectively making him twice as strong as any other Hulk. After this transformation, he gained the reputation for destroying spaceships, and any attempts to stop him by Thunderbolt Ross were always thwarted. He attacked the hideout of Barracuda when the Punisher tried to gain information about the 6-fingered hand, and he killed a decent amount of the mercenaries hired to kill the Punisher, but was enraged by the leader's sonic device. The Punisher managed to escape before the Hulk could kill him, which you can assume he could have done very easily. Check out this monstrous Hulk for yourself in his first appearance in 2012 Space Punisher number 2. Number 9, Skulk. Hailing from Earth 9602, the Amalgam Universe, Bruce Banner was a scientist experimenting with radiation, and one day an experiment he was working on went horribly wrong and fused him with the elemental entity known as Solomon Grundy, and he became known as the Skulk. With the powers of the Hulk and Solomon Grundy combined, you can probably figure out for yourself why this would be pretty scary. After a confrontation with Dr. Strange Fate showed Skulk that he could keep the Skulk in his human form with the use of magic. The Skulk agreed to work as an agent for Dr. Strange Fate in return for Strange Fate keeping Skulk in the form of Bruce Banner for most of the time. This version of the Hulk is actually a rather gentle soul because upon finding access, Bruce actually tried to have a conversation with him rather than immediately jumping into battle because he thought that Access seemed like a really lost and lonely child in the world. This didn't last for long though because it did get to the point where he transformed into the Skulk and attacked him with just plain old brute force. Skip ahead a little bit to a mysterious villain attacking the Amalgam Earth city by city, and Lobo the Duck awoke in the ruins of Manhattan and found himself as the last remaining survivor among the heroes. Now the Skulk's body was never actually found among the other heroes, but it can be assumed that he is no longer living. Check out this character for yourself, starting with their first appearance in 1996's Doctor Strange Fate number 1. Number 8, The Incredible Thing. In an alternate reality, Earth 295 to be exact, Bruce Banner never actually became the Hulk and mutants rule the world. In an effort to combat them, Bruce, under the order of Thaddeus Ross, is tasked with creating an army of super soldiers, however all of his efforts fail. Banner moves to Europe not too long after and becomes a member of the Human High Council, the ruling body of the surviving human population. Oddly enough, Banner longed to become a mutant in order to escape being a second-class citizen, and caving into the moral low ground, Banner sold himself to one of the Horsemen of the Apocalypse in order to experiment on mutants and eventually himself. The result of the experiment was The Thing, a gray Hulk variant that Banner could revert between at will. Ben Grimm and Sue Storm were the first to encounter the Thing, and Sue shot him in the side of the head. The Thing fled and turned back into Banner, but neither Sue nor Ben connected the two events together. Fast forward a little bit to when Bruce, alongside Tony Stark, is escaping the Earth's orbit, and we see humanity under fire from a bunch of missiles. They were able to destroy all except for one, an adamantium bomb that Bruce had invented himself. So, as the Thing, he jumped out of the spacecraft and diverted the bomb so that no one would have to die from it. Forcibly reverting back to his human form, he fell down to Earth and was captured by Apocalypse. After an unidentified period of time, he revolts against the Alphas and Apocalypse, but sadly this ended in his death. Check out this Bruce Banner for yourself in 1995's X-Universe number 1. Number 7, Infernal Hulk. Are you familiar with Earth 11,638? It is an alternate universe that is seemingly a utopia because Spider-Man's loved ones are still alive, and Bruce Banner finally separated from the Hulk, and Wade Wilson never had to become Deadpool. However, he did end up becoming the villain Deathmask, but we'll just sort of, gloss over that one. After Bruce Banner became Dr. Banner, the Sorcerer Supreme of this universe, he separated himself from the Hulk and banished him to Hell, where he became the Infernal Hulk. When the Bruce Banner of Earth 616 traveled to this universe with Spider-Man and Deadpool, the Infernal Hulk was able to get free from hell by trading places with the Hulk persona of Earth 616's Banner. He immediately went after Bruce, who was saved by Spider-Man and Deadpool. Together with his counterpart, Spider-Man and Deadpool, the Sorcerer Supreme Banner came up with a plan to defeat the Infernal Hulk once and for all by reversing the banishing spell and then snapping Bruce's neck before the Infernal Hulk could take control of his body. Check out this devilish Hulk for yourself in their first appearance in 2011's Deadpool Annual #1. Number 6. John Eisenhart. On Earth 928, the alternate Earth that is set in 2099, and it is a vastly different world than we are familiar with because the Age of the Heroes has ended and much of the world is run by violent and evil companies. Head over to Los Angeles and we meet John Eisenhart, the Hulk of 2099. John gained his Hulk-like abilities from the Knights of Banner, a cult that worshipped the original Hulk, who wanted nothing more than to create a new Hulk. Their Gamma gun accidentally fired and hit John, and he was transformed into a 12-foot tall Gamma beast with razor-sharp claws and fangs, a long tongue, and massive muscles. Hulk 2099 dedicated himself to defending the people from monsters like Draco and became a leader in a rebellion against them. After President Victor Von Doom's takeover of America, John stole a Gamma device from one of Doom's henchmen in order to keep it from Doom himself. Now this device was similar to the one that granted John the ability to transform into his Hulk-like form in the first place. Draco threatened John with a massive bomb placed directly on the city's fault line if he didn't turn the Gamma device over to him. In the ensuing battle, the bomb detonated and triggered a massive earthquake, and the earthquake set off the Gamma device that resulted in a massive explosion laying waste to the city. John emerged from the rubble, mutated even more so by the radiation emitted from the device. His mutation eventually did stabilize and he returned to his original form just prior to S.H.I.E.L.D. agents arriving in the region. While battling them, John seemed to perish, and well, that's the last that we've seen of him. Give his story a read for yourself in 1993's 2099 Unlimited #1. Number 5. Bruce Banner, Earth 9591. In the Marvel Universe, scientific accidents tend to lead to fabulous powers. However, in the real world, a scientific accident typically leads to serious injury or even death. After all, if a regular person were caught in the explosion of a gamma bomb, they definitely wouldn't gain green skin and super strength. Odds are they would just get probably really sick and die. With that in mind, let's meet Bruce Banner from the miniseries Ruins. Written by Warren Ellis, Ruins is a dystopian twist on the Marvel Universe, where everything that can and does go wrong goes wrong. In this twist on the classic origin story, Rick Jones is a morphine addict that wandered into the testing site of a gamma bomb. The heroic Bruce Banner rushes to save him and is caught in the blast of the bomb, but instead of becoming the Jade Giant, Bruce Banner is consumed with a mess of green tumors which tear Banner apart from the inside out. Much like the Peter Parker of this universe, Banner is currently believed to be held captive by the CIA for research purposes. Give the storyline a read for yourself in 1995's Ruins #1. It answers a lot of questions that I personally didn't know I wanted the answers to. Number 4. Hulk Earth 2081. After a war which ended in a violent nuclear holocaust that wiped out all life on Earth, wanting to get away from the few remaining survivors would return to the Gamma Cave in New Mexico, where he'd seal himself off with a boulder. Many years later, Bruce would free himself from his imprisonment by a recorder, who was sent to record the demise of humanity at the request of a number of races. Though Bruce at first assumed they wanted to learn from humanity's mistakes, the recorder then informed him that they just wanted to make sure that they were all actually dead. Though Bruce at first refused to believe that everyone was dead, asking if it was some kind of joke, he soon came to accept it. He would then ask the recorder if he was going to kill him as well to, be sure. And the recorder then asked Bruce if he wanted to die, to which Bruce then responded, no, why would I want that? Bruce spent the next several years wandering across the ruins of the old cities trying to remember what he could of the old world. Later, Bruce suffered a painful heart attack, and how much his punishment resembles that of Prometheus, the last Titan, condemned to stay forever alive even while animals devoured him. As he died, the Hulk's persona arose in his mind. Banner would plead with the Hulk, begging him to simply let go of his conflicts, claiming that they were going to a paradise where all their dead friends were, where they could be happy. Hulk threw away his suggestion thinking it was a trick, and because in his eyes, friends had always betrayed him. With Banner completely gone, the Hulk was left completely alone in an empty world. Check out this one-shot storyline in 2002's Incredible Hulk, The End. Number 3. Zombie Hulk. That's right, it's Jack talking about the zombieverse once again, my big favorite. In the world of Marvel Zombies, the Hulk is the hungriest one there is. After an unnamed hero driven by the hunger crashes on Earth and infects the Avengers with a zombie virus, the world spirals into a zombie apocalypse. Once valiant heroes resort to stomach-churning acts to fulfill their craving for human flesh, and the world becomes a battle for the strongest for scarce resources. A roaming band of zombies composed of, or I guess decomposed since they're zombies, of former heroes such as Spider-Man and Wolverine, kill and eat their way across the planet with a zombified Hulk serving as the Twisted Team's muscle. The group eventually crossed paths with the Silver Surfer, who was subsequently brutally killed by the Hulk and eaten by the group, imbuing the zombies with the cosmic power, allowing the former heroes to take to the stars to eat their way across the galaxy. 40 years later, Hulk returns to the Earth to find a colony of human survivors in New York, known as New Wakanda. After Giant Man declared a plan to create a breeding program to have food for eternity, Spider-Man and Luke Cage rebelled and fought Tony and the others. A force field was activated, protecting Black Panther's stronghold and the survivors, but sealed Gladiator and an unconscious Bruce Banner inside and cut Luke Cage in half. Hulk eventually escapes, and after eating Reynolds, Hulk transformed back into Bruce and voluntarily was eaten by the zombies so that he could cause no more damage to anyone. You all already know that this is one of my favorite universes, so check out Zombie Hulk for yourself, starting with his first appearance in Marvel Zombies Dead Days #1. Number 2. Maestro. While the Hulk has traditionally served as a tragic anti-hero, the supervillain known as the Maestro serves as a reminder that the Hulk is really only one bad day away from becoming the most dangerous foe mankind has ever encountered. This alternate future version of the Hulk hails from a Earth ravaged by nuclear war. Driven mad by the death of his friends and from continued exposure to radiation, the Hulk christens himself the Maestro and appoints himself the ruler of this war-torn dystopia. Retaining the intelligence of Bruce Banner, but with the enhanced strength brought on from the radiation, the Maestro rules unopposed, splitting his time between torturing those who have crossed him and admiring his trophy room filled with the weapons and costumes of his fallen comrades. When the modern day Hulk is sent forward in time, he ends up clashing with his future self, eventually triumphing over the cocky Maestro. While the Maestro hails from a possible future, the Hulk lives in constant fear that one bad move could put him on the path to becoming this tyrannical ruler. Fast forward through some pretty cool events that you should definitely read for yourself, and we see the Maestro go up against Logan, who unsheathed his claws and just decapitates him. Give the story a read for yourself, starting with 2017's Old Man Logan Volume 2, number 25. And number 1, Pappy Banner. This version makes me so uncomfortable it's not even funny. So similar to his 616 counterpart, Bruce Banner of Earth 21,923 began as a hero, or as much of a hero that the Hulk can be. No one really knows how or why or when, but Bruce Banner had a very drastic shift in personality and became a villain, many believing it to be probably because of the prolonged exposure to radiation. When the villains took over in this alternate world, Banner joined in on the hero slaughter, eliminating Thor and so many others. Banner later took over a large portion of California and Nevada as his own and named it Hulkland. He also made the decision to mate with his first cousin She-Hulk and sired a group of inbred Hulks called the Hulk Gang. Through intimidation alone, they forced people living there to pay rent or face having their property taken and even death. One of the people that was extorted was Logan, who had become a pacifist at the time. Then one day, the Hulk Gang killed Logan's family, causing him to abandon his pacifist beliefs. And in anger, Logan killed almost the entire Hulk Gang and its leader, Pappy Banner.
Number 10. Claw. Claw, which is Hulk backwards, is basically what happens when the Hulk goes Hulk. He is another one of the evil personalities inside Bruce Banner's head. This version of Hulk has black skin with these rad glowing red scars. He has red demonic eyes, white hair, and big old talons. Claw emerges when Hulk reaches a sufficient level of rage, which is strange because regular Hulk has gotten way more powerful than this version of Hulk. The Claw personality is usually suppressed and has only shown up a few times, and not for very long, I might add. He appeared first in the Axis storyline, where heroes and villains had their moralities switched. Hulk isn't exactly always a perfect dude. He will go on rampages and hurt people. He doesn't intend to. Over time, he has been able to hone his rampages into one target, or even not rampage like that at all. But since Claw is his opposite, he lets his rage hurt and maim everyone, putting even the villains on alert. He looks terrifyingly awesome and no one is safe from his rage. Number 9. Infernal Hulk. On Earth 11638, Bruce Banner was officially completely done with dealing with the unpredictability and rage of the Hulk. So, when Spider-Man introduced Bruce to Stephen Strange, the Sorcerer Supreme, Banner became his apprentice, and after lots of training in the mystic arts, learned how to separate himself from the Hulk entity. He did this by sending it to hell and making it a demon. And this was a great solution, until the 616 Hulk, along with Deadpool and Spider-Man, came to Earth 11638. The Infernal Hulk managed to enter back into the realm of Earth, swapping places with 616 Banner's Hulk persona. Infernal Hulk went after the new Sorcerer Supreme, Bruce Banner, who was saved by both Deadpool and Spider-Man. So, how did they defeat this Demon Hulk? Well, Sorcerer Bruce reversed the banishing spell that sent Hulk to hell, and just before Infernal Hulk could return to his original Bruce Banner body, Bruce had his neck snapped, killing him. But his spirit lived on in the astral plane, so it's all good. Number 8, Marvel Apes. Marvel Apes is, well, I mean, it's all the Marvel characters as apes. It's pretty self-explanatory, actually. After Marvel Zombies, which I'm sure you're tired of hearing about, Marvel wanted another cool and weird alternate universe. So, we got this. I actually really like it, but I'm a sucker for alternate worlds. Like the regular Hulk, this Ape Hulk was a big green monstrosity. He resembled a big gorilla, and he was obviously furry. So that's like the main difference. He was still the strongest ape out there and extremely prone to smashing things whenever he got upset. This Ape Hulk helped in the battle against the vampiric Ape Vengers, and would later join a group dubbed the Prime 8, led by Nick Fury.
Hulk smash, like and subscribe button. Hulk angry, but Hulk still love nerds. Puny Adam, get on with video.
Number 7, Maestro. Okay, imagine a version of the Hulk with twice his strength who retains the intelligence of Bruce Banner. Now, take that Hulk and make him a ruthless, tyrannical ruler, power-hungry and evil. And you get Maestro. Our Hulk first comes into contact with him when Rick Jones' daughter takes him into the future to fight his evil future self. But this Maestro easily overpowers the Hulk. In their very first fight, Maestro went to town on the Hulk and won by simply snapping Hulk's neck. That's it. Game over, man! Game over! He then waited for Hulk to heal, taunting him and villain monologuing at him the whole time about all the terrible things they go through as the Hulk, trying to get Hulk to join his side. The only way our Hulk could win was to bring Maestro back in time, to when they gained their abilities. The Gamma Bomb, which destroyed Maestro on an atomic scale. The sheer idea of Hulk becoming Maestro haunted Bruce and Hulk's thoughts for the rest of time. Number 6. Null, Breaker of Worlds. When Kull Borson, known as the Serpent, who was the villainous brother of Odin, sent down 7 magical hammers to Earth that represented his 7 followers, the hammer Null found its way to our hulking mass of green, transforming him into Null, Breaker of Worlds. Null went rampaging all over South America, bringing him into conflict with the Avengers, who he defeated, and eventually into a fight with Thor. When fighting Thor, Null teamed up with Angrier, Breaker of Souls, which was the Thing, who also got one of these hammers, who was defeated by Thor. But we all know who the strongest Avenger is, don't we? Null was just a bit too powerful for Thor, and instead of facing him one-on-one, the God of Thunder threw Hulk into orbit. He landed in Transylvania and started taking on Dracula and his minions. It was only after Inca, disguised as Betty Ross, showed up that Hulk threw the hammer aside and left to go be in solitude for being used yet again. Number 5, Hulk 2099. Most of us comic book fans know about Spider-Man 2099. It's an incredible story and character, and it was crazy successful. Because of this, Marvel wanted to capitalize, like you do, and they made more 2099 versions of their characters. One such character was Hulk. This version of the Hulk is actually a guy named John Eisenhart. John didn't get his powers after being a scientist though. In the world of 2099, there was a cult known as the Knights of Banner, which, to sidetrack for a second, is a pretty sweet name. But anyways, John was a studio executive and the Knights of Banner wanted to create another Hulk while also making a movie about their cult's history. Yeah, it's weird, I don't know. Eisenhart joins the cult and gets caught in a gamma explosion, turning him into the Hulk. He was a bit different though. For starters, he is terrifying, but he can control his rage, meaning his strength didn't grow indefinitely. He also has claws that can slice through most materials, and his freaky elongated tongue is super strong, which is weird. Number 4, Hulk Venom. In What If number 4, what if the alien costume had possessed Spider-Man? Spider-Man is unable to get rid of the Venom symbiote suit, and he enlists aid from other heroes. Hulk just happens to be one of the first to show up. and the symbiote takes an instant liking to Hulk, which kinda makes me wonder why this hasn't happened before, honestly. It easily bonds to Hulk, overpowering his weak mind. So now you have all the powers of Hulk, plus the powers of Spider-Man, which is an interesting idea, truth be told. Number 3, Skulk. The Amalgam comics in the 90s brought the fans one of the things they always wished they had. The heroes of the DC universe and the Marvel universe coming together. It saw the heroes facing each other, but it also, more interestingly, saw mashed together versions of characters. It's how we got the Batman-Wolverine hybrid Dark Claw, who is awesome. But it's also how we got Skulk. Skulk was the combination of Solomon Grundy and the Hulk. Bruce Banner was minding his own business, conducting gamma bond tests in the desert, the kind of thing you do on your perfect Sunday, and then Solomon Grundy appeared. Bruce tried to save the superhuman zombie from the explosion, but the bomb fused the two together, forming Skulk. Skulk was really just Solomon Grundy but with the Hulk's iconic purple pants, but I feel like the powers of these two characters fused together should be way more awesome than this. Number 2, Ultimate Hulk. Yes, the Ultimate Universe's version of Hulk is similar to the regular Hulk, but his personality? Nuh-uh, honey, it is whack. Bruce Banner, no matter where you find him, is an emotionally scarred dude. It's why he is the way he is, but the Ultimate Bruce Banner? He is selfish, self-absorbed, and just creepy. He was so desperate to be noticed and recognized, he willingly injected himself with an experimental version of a new super soldier formula, turning him into a monstrous version of the Hulk. This Hulk had little to no regard for human life and collateral damage. He even ate people, it was nuts. Ultimate Hulk would join up with Maker, Quicksilver, Kang, and a mind-controlled Human Torch to make up the team known as the Dark Ultimates. He would eventually align himself to be a bit better, but not by much. Number 1, Guilt Hulk. The Guilt Hulk is very similar to Devil Hulk, who represents his anger. Only this version of Hulk represents all the guilt and regret that the Hulk feels for all the horrible things he has inadvertently done while in his Hulk form, as well as the horrible things done to him as Bruce, like being shunned and feared and all the horrible things that were done to him by his father, Brian Banner, which is a huge reason behind Bruce having multiple personality disorder in the first place. Because this persona represents all these things, it's actually more powerful than the Devil Hulk persona. Guilt Hulk even took on the form of Bruce's father inside his head before becoming his true form, which is like a weird xenomorph looking Hulk. This Hulk is incredibly powerful, and it took the combined efforts of many of Bruce's other alter egos to hold and keep the other Guilt Hulk persona repressed deep in Bruce's mind. Number 10, Ultimate Hulk. Just like every villain who is warned not to experiment on himself, the Ultimate Universe Bruce Banner, who thought he perfected the super soldier serum, used it on himself, which had a pretty unfortunate effect. Instead of becoming big and strong like Captain America, he became big and strong like Bull, or like Hulk, I guess, and tore apart the lab he was working in. So already this is a different kind of Hulk. You know, no gamma explosion caused this monstrosity. When he mixed Captain America's serum with his Hulk serum and injected himself though, he became a gray monstrous Hulk and became a bit more villainous. Not necessarily on purpose, but I mean, he ate people, said some pretty not okay things, and rampaged around New York giving the newly formed Ultimates a threat to fight. He did eventually become a bit more of an on-again, off-again hero, even though he allied himself with the Maker at one point. But I mean, at least he wasn't actually as powerful as the original 616 Hulk, which makes him a bit better to deal with. Number 9, Aborigine Hulk. Ever heard of the House of M? When Wanda Maximoff changed reality to make the mutant Magneto the ruler of the world with his family? Well, in this world, when Bruce Banner transformed into the Hulk after the Gamma explosion, it is believed by Mr. Ross that he is a spy of Magneto, and he is hunted down like normal. But not like normal, he travels all the way to Australia, and he settles in with a group of Aboriginals where he becomes a part of their tribe, and finds an inner peace with Banner and the other guy. But of course, the conflict between the mutants and the last remaining resisting humans finds its way to the outback and onto the territory of his Aborigine tribe. With a kind of control over the Hulk persona, Hulk and Banner help the humans halt their persecution by their mutant overlords, eventually helping AIM to rule Australia. There's this really cool moment where Hulk is like using a whale to cover a submarine. It looks amazing, I promise. Just check it out. Number 8, Hulk the End. After what seems to be a nuclear apocalypse has wiped out every other form of human life on the planet Earth, of course, it is the Hulk who is the only one remaining. Kind of fitting, as he has always wanted to be left alone and now he is alone. except not fully. Now that every human has left, Hulk is left with one person who won't leave him be, Dr. Bruce Banner. Banner is always there, just kind of on the subconscious background. This version of the Hulk contends against massive mutated cockroaches who eat him, but he always heals and remains alive. It's rather strange how this happens, but at some point in time, Bruce Banner actually passes on inside of the transformed Hulk from a heart attack, and finally lives the Incredible Hulk utterly and totally alone in the world. It's honestly a really depressing story, and it ends just as depressingly, but it is nonetheless an amazing story, and I think if you've never checked it out, you probably should. Number 7. Hulk 2099. Spider-Man 2099 is an incredible character and story. The world that Marvel set up in 2099 is just as awesome and brilliant, which led to a bunch of heroes getting 2099 counterparts. Obviously, the Hulk had to be one of them. In 2099, you'll find a cult called the Knights of Banner, who are trying their darndest to create a Hulk. Oh, and to get a movie deal, but mainly to get a Hulk. Or a Hulk-like thing. A man named John Eisenhart joins up with the cult, and after an upset cult member triggers a gamma explosion, Eisenhart is transformed into a new version of the Hulk. Now this alternate Hulk is just a smidge different from our regular Hulk. Like, I don't know, his super strong prehensile tongue. That's a big one. His crazy long hair could be considered another. He had sharp teeth and very strong claws, and he also isn't a savage Hulk, so his strength is not limitless. But yeah, I'd still run from this monstrosity. Number 6. The Lizard Hulk. In Spider Island, New York has been captured and taken over by an evil Spider Queen, who not only rules the citizens, but has also turned most of them into mindless spider people. She has even turned a large number of heroes into scary looking spider mutates. Hulk is one of those heroes. Now, while this version of Hulk could honestly make this list, there is a point in the story where Flash Thompson, otherwise known as Agent Venom, who leads a resistance against the Spider Queen and is trying to cure the spider virus, infects Hulk with the blood of Dr. Kurt Connor, or as he is otherwise known, the Lizard. This actually works, and instead of being an arachnid type Hulk, the strongest Avenger becomes a lizard type Hulk. I don't know. He fights alongside a werewolf Steve Rogers, a vampire Carol Danvers, and a green goblin Tony Stark. It's pretty cool. And he himself is pretty impressive. I mean, just look at the power set he now possesses. All his gamma mutated physiological abilities, his limitless strength, and all that loveliness, plus the abilities of the Lizard from 616, including that sweet tail. Number 5. Venom Hulk. Now, this has happened in the 616 continuity. In Absolute Carnage, Venom abandons Eddie Brock to bond with a more powerful character to take on the null-boosted Carnage, the Hulk. It looks amazing, with Venom barely even being able to fully cover the Hulk's massive body. But while you may think this combo would be a game changer for the heroes, it is ultimately really disappointing, as Bruce is dealing with his Devil Hulk persona and Carnage targets this. Hulk reverts back to Banner and then gets his spine ripped out, way too fast. Luckily, we get a slightly less awesome looking version of Venom Hulk. In What If number 4 on Earth 1089, we see a Venom symbiote fully bond with Spider-Man in their first encounter. He feeds off him until he encounters the Hulk. Now, if I was a symbiote and I had the choice between Peter Parker and the Incredible Hulk, I'd probably ditch Peter Parker just like Venom did here. He easily takes over the simpler mind of the Hulk. Venom feeds off the gamma radiation of the Hulk, eventually moving on to Thor, but the potential of this kind of amalgamation is just, I don't know. I think I gotta change my underwear now. Yeah. Number 4. Infernal Hulk. I think superheroes need to stop banishing Hulks. It doesn't do anything but make them more mad. And in this case, you turn them into a demon. In the universe of Earth 11638, Bruce Banner has become the Sorcerer Supreme after being Doctor Strange's apprentice. And to sidetrack for a moment, could you imagine Bruce Banner running around like Mickey Mouse in the Sorcerer's Apprentice? You can't tell me that wouldn't be entertaining. Anyways, using the magic he learned, he managed to separate the Hulk persona from himself and send it to hell. For Supreme Sorcerer, you think he would have a bit more forethought. Sending the Hulk to hell managed to get him corrupted by demons, turning him into the Infernal Hulk, and giving him some pretty powerful demonic abilities. Now, after some time, Earth 11638 is visited by the Earth 616 Bruce Banner alongside Deadpool and Spider-Man. The Infernal Hulk clawed his way back into the mortal plane by trading places with the Hulk persona of Earth 616 Bruce Banner. Spider-Man, Deadpool, and Sorcerer Bruce Banner come up with a plan by reversing the spell that banished the Hulk persona and sacrificing Magic Bruce so the Infernal Hulk had nowhere to go, effectively ending the whole thing, and it was all thumbs up after that. I don't know. Number 3. Maestro. I feel like we have talked about him way too many times to count, but for those of you who don't know, Maestro is the dystopian future version of Hulk, the variant of Hulk that haunts his own dreams. He rules over the creatively named city of Dystopia as an incredibly evil and immoral dictator. Years and years of radiation due to the nuclear conflict that spawned this dystopian future had made Maestro sick and villainous, as well as twice as strong as the base level Hulk, but with all the intelligence of Banner to boot. This bearded green behemoth has been a fan favorite character since his introduction in the Future Imperfect storyline, and his backstory, fighting the Human Torch, Doctor Doom, Namor the Submariner, and Abomination, is pretty intense and a fun read. Not to mention his debut where he fights the Incredible Hulk and defeats him like it's absolutely nothing to him. Such a great character. I think he needs to show up in the MCU, like sooner or later, please. Just once. Just one time. Just one time. Number 2! Immortal Hulk. Who knew that all those times Bruce Banner should have lost his life and was saved by the Hulk, he actually did, and was revived. Apparently, all these revivals actually made Hulk more and more powerful, resulting in the Immortal Hulk, which is one of the most powerful versions of the Hulk we have ever seen. He's articulate, he seems to be more intelligent than Banner, and his strength is nearly unrivaled. He can literally smell when someone is lying, which is just kind of insane by itself. But I think the strangest thing is that he will only come out at night, kind of like how the original Hulk did. But now, the Hulk won't even come out to actually save Banner's life anymore. Like when Bruce caught a bullet to the head and was actually lifeless on the ground until nighttime came and the Immortal Hulk came out. The Immortal Hulk storyline is also incredible, and you should absolutely check it out. But just to warn you, while the art is really good, it can be really graphic and kind of freaky at times, so you've been warned. Number 1, Breaker of Worlds. I said the Immortal Hulk was the most powerful Hulk we have been shown, but there is an alternate one shown in the same Immortal Hulk storyline that kind of tops everything else, like ever. In Immortal Hulk, we meet the One Below All, the representative of all destruction and death in the Marvel Universe, and the antithesis to the One Above All, who is basically God. He is an incredibly powerful being who is thankfully trapped in the below place, and exists through gamma mutated characters like the Hulk and Abomination and all those guys. But not on Earth TRN 781. In this reality, the One Below All managed to destroy the soul of Bruce Banner and take his place inside the Hulk's body, possessing the Hulk. This possessed Hulk goes on a mission of destruction, removing crazy powerful characters like Franklin Richards and Galactus, and consuming them to gain their power, becoming more and more powerful, until he found the sentience of the 8th cosmos, and did the exact same thing to him too. Fast forward about 10 billion years, and the Breaker of Worlds had destroyed all life and all planets in the multiverse. But now we move on to the 9th cosmos, I think that's how that works. I really don't know. All I know, or even understand, is that this version of the Hulk is massive, bigger than the biggest planets, which he destroys with his giant emerald fists. He is empty and hollow and utterly terrifying. A godlike being who transcends understanding. He's sweet. You should check him out.
Number 10, Grey Hulk. So once upon a time, Stan Lee actually wanted the Hulk to be gray, initially, but due to ink and production problems, he ended up turning out green. It was explained in the comics by saying that, oh, because of Bruce Banner's repetitive use of the gamma radiation projectors, the character's skin color went from being gray to green. Because they wanted him to be green. He was green, then he was gray, then he was green. It was out there. How do we make this a thing? Interesting little tidbit, but the Grey Hulk is still a character not to be messed with. The Grey Hulk and the Green Hulk are pretty much battling each other in Banner's mind at this point. So they give the Grey Hulk a different identity, referring to him from this point on as Joe Fixit. Joe Fixit was this tough, ambiguous security guard who worked at a casino in Las Vegas. Real butch guy. So opposed to Savage Hulk, Grey Hulk doesn't get mad as fast. He's actually pretty intelligent and pretty manipulative as well. He doesn't lose control that easily. Still a badass nonetheless, but he's got a hand on the wheel. Grey Hulk would then come out at night and then go back to normal by dawn. This is because Bruce was literally afraid of the dark, so the Grey Hulk represented more of that brain space in Banner's head, you know? Like imagine bumping into this guy during a late night walk. I would puke, straight up. So scary. He could also drive a car too, which is amazing. So if you're like, you know, me, who doesn't have his license still as an adult, just remember that Grey Hulk is probably better at parallel parking than us. How do you feel, guys? How do you feel? Number 9, Green Hulk. Okay, going off the notes from the Grey Ink debacle, when the Green Hulk was introduced later on, it wasn't that different than we saw from the Grey Hulk. So instead of the Hulk coming out at night, they decided to just go the route where we're all familiar with, mean and green. He started to pop up in other character comic books before eventually getting his own issues. I had to include this version as he is the next version after Grey Hulk. It's kind of hard not to. What do you guys think? Would you rather see more of the Grey Hulk who comes out at night and just kicks rocks and mumbles and gets all angry looking like Frankenstein's monster? Or do you prefer the green guy, pops out in the middle of the day if Bruce Banner gets stung by a bee and then just starts punching? I personally love the gray guy. What a route to go. Number 8, Red She-Hulk. So on part 1 of this list, I had mentioned She-Hulk, but what about Red She-Hulk? Yep. That's a thing too. So this mysterious character showed up when the Red Hulk gathered a team to hunt down Domino. So while Wolverine was fighting Red Hulk, he like scratched his eyes out, ouch, and just as he was about to finish him, bam, Red She-Hulk comes in to save the day. And she's pretty fierce too. Like, look at her. Like right off the bat, when she was fighting Wolverine, she was showing off her fancy new outfit that belonged to Domino, including her gun. And then in her other hand, she also had Elektra's sai. So she came loaded. And then she started bragging about how she killed the two and took their weapons and clothes. So yeah, she's a bit of a hot mess, you would say. She held off the fight long enough for Red Hulk to recover. Her powers are pretty nuts though. I mean, during this scrap with Wolverine, she spat in his face. Gross. Only her saliva is acid. So she grabbed Red Hulk and they both ducked out in the sewers. Unbeknownst to Red Hulk until later on, the identity of the new mysterious red badass is actually none other than Betty Ross. Plot twist. Her Red She-Hulk story begins in Hulk Volume 2, Issue 15, if you want to start giving her from the beginning. Number 7, Ultimate Hulk. Yeah, this version is just a touch different than the versions that we're used to. See, this version was used for the films Ultimate Avengers and Ultimate Avengers 2. The only real difference is that the Avengers end up controlling the Hulk in our current MCU. More or less. Like by the time Avengers 1 reaches its final act, they're all cool and they work together. He's like, yeah, that's my secret. I'm always angry. Then they all give a thumbs up. In this version, they battle the Chitauri, but they have a much harder time retaining the Beast. He actually fights all of them first, and in this storyline, he even lifts Mjolnir. So if Cap lifting the hammer wasn't good enough, get a load of this guy. Starting with Ultimate Marvel Team Up, issue number 2, that is. Number 6, Mark Ruffalo. That's right, I'm gonna talk about this version for a bit longer because we're probably the most familiar with it. Mark Ruffalo's Hulk. It's a classic. As seen in all the Avenger movies, this Hulk goes crazy a handful of times, most notably the fact that he's clashed with pretty much every Avenger except Captain America. He took on Natasha in the first Avengers, that is until Thor came in to have a go, and I like that in the MCU we see character arcs not only with Bruce Banner, but for the Hulk as well. Like for example, after he fights Iron Man in the Hulkbuster armor in Avengers Age of Ultron, the second he snaps out of Wanda's curse, you can see on the Hulk's face that he's disappointed in himself. That's a huge difference from when we last saw him in the previous Avengers movie. The Hulk, not Banner, right? This was long before he ended up merging in Endgame, so to see this soft moment with him is actually really nice, especially after he just, destroyed an entire city. And you can also see growth with himself and Natasha early on. I mean, at the beginning of Age of Ultron, Nat calms him down. It's funny, whenever my buddy Dan gets mad about stuff, I always touch his hand and I go, hey big guy, sun's getting real low, right? Let's calm it down, let's pack it in. I won't lie, the second Smart Hulk was revealed in Avengers Endgame, I kind of hated it right off the bat. I was like, they're going for a silly take on the character just to make the theater laugh. That wasn't the case though. Mark Ruffalo actually did a great job combining the two for that movie, especially in a finale piece like that movie. He actually finds this nice line to be intimidating and beastly at the same time. So he's like a jolly green giant. My favorite part has to be when he talks Thor into returning to the gang. Such a nice arc. I mean, it's good fun all around, except for, all the death and destruction that happened. Number 5, The End Hulk. Written by Peter David, The Incredible Hulk The End shows us what Bruce Banner would look like after the rest of the world has fallen into pieces. In a one-shot released back in 2002, we find Bruce Banner as the last inhabitant of Earth. After the events of a nuclear holocaust, Banner was the only being that was physically able to survive. I mean, the story opens up with Banner talking to a vidbot. A vidbot is a floating camera that's always hovering 10 feet away from him. It found Banner when it was in the midst of confirming the eradication of humans. Now it just follows him around. Kind of like that cameraman in Super Mario 64. He's like on his little cloud, so cute. So Banner and the Hulk are on different levels at this point. The Hulk still wants to be a badass and fight stuff, but Bruce is done, man. He looks around him, he sees nothing. He sees giant mutated cockroaches. He actually attempts multiple times, but the Hulk will not let him die. It's kind of similar to what we heard in Avengers back in 2012, the first Avengers. Banner says to the group that he tried putting a bullet in his mouth and that the green guy spit it out. So this issue, we really get an idea for it if that had lasted until the very end. Quite dark. Number 4, Zombie Hulk. Okay, so this one I hope we actually never have to see because it's terrifying. In the series Marvel Zombies, the Hulk is, well, yeah, he's a zombie. So in this version, he's still a strong giant. However, because he's not alive technically, he doesn't regenerate every time he gets injured. He also doesn't need to get angry in order to transform from the zombie Bruce Banner. He actually transforms when he's hungry. If you're not you and you're hungry, Banner, I think you need a Snickers or a neighbor, whatever you like to eat. One of those two, we'll get you set up. Silver Surfer, for instance, gets his head bitten off, like Ozzy Osbourne style, by this zombified Hulk. You gotta check it out. Number 3, Robbie Banner. Okay, so on Earth 138, this punk rock version of the Hulk teams up with Spider-Man. Well, Spider-Punk rather. And in order to become the Hulk, he doesn't need to get angry, he doesn't need to eat flesh. Instead, he just needs to blast atomic bomb music. Okay. So at one point he helped Spider-Punk fight the UFOs at the Hellfire Club. And this version is wild. Like, imagine if Bruce Banner in the MCU had to blast Imagine Dragons before fighting Ultron. That'd be amazing. God, I'd pay for that. So in this storyline, when Kang and the Conglomerattors started attacking, Robbie just listened to the tape and promptly turned into the Hulk and helped Spider-Punk fight him. Number 2, Breaker of Worlds Hulk. So eventually, the One Below All destroys Bruce's soul, and then they themselves possess the body of the Hulk. After that, oh man, just straight up trouble. They went on to kill Franklin Richards, Galactus, Mr. Immortal, irony at its finest right there, and it kept killing until it was the last living thing in the universe. Why is this always a goal, man? Like, I would be so bored. At least keep a handful of entertainers alive. Like, if we only had Will Smith, we'd be fine. Movies, music, cringy Instagram posts, he could do it all.
Yeah. It's rewind time.
In the 9th Cosmos, the One Below All went from having the Hulk's powers and upgraded them, yet again, to a Galactus-like entity called the Breaker of Worlds. Sounds rather fitting if you ask me. Finally, my personal favorite of this list, Infernal Hulk. Oh, I hope we see this one soon. So in an alternate reality where Bruce Banner and the Hulk had separated, and it does happen quite often, Bruce ended up becoming the new Sorcerer Supreme. But the Hulk rather, oh, he gets cast into hell. Talk about getting the shit out of the deal. I mean, he did all right though in hell. He ended up becoming a demon eventually after being surrounded with all those, well, demons down there. What does he do? Well, he escapes, of course. Who doesn't want a demon Hulk running around? Everybody. The answer is everybody. The solution was simple and well executed. Trick Infernal Hulk into shattering the eye of Agamotto. And once that happened, well, he was thrown back into hell. Good. Go back where you belong, scary man. Kicking off the list, number 10, Zombie She-Hulk. First appearing in Marvel Zombies Dead Days, issue number 1 back in 2007, the story takes place on Earth 2149 after a zombie plague, which you may have guessed by now just based off the name. Now this comic is super dark and gory. The zombie runs give us a fun variation of the Avengers, especially Jen Walters. See, when Jen first arrived at the Avengers mansion after the Avengers Assemble call, she was shocked to find that Earth's mightiest heroes have become Earth's munchiest heroes, no thanks to a plague. Now it wasn't long at all before Jen herself was zombified, and then she got this fantastic appetite. Yeah, she took a bite or 6 out of Franklin Richards and his sister Valeria. So you can imagine the look on the Fantastic Four's face when they returned. They weren't too jazzed, especially Sue Storm. And before we go on with this list of incredible Hulks, guys, if you want to go ahead and Hulk smash that like button, that would be great. It really goes a long way for our channel here. You guys are the best. Thank you so much. Now let's get right back to this list. Number 9, Venom Hulk. Okay, this next one isn't around too long in the comics, but maybe that's a good thing. Venom Hulk is terrifying, and it all goes down in the 1989 What If series, issue 4. It shows us what exactly would happen if the alien costume had possessed Spider-Man. It's a pretty scary alternative to if the Fantastic Four hadn't been able to separate Peter and the suit originally. Now it gets ugly pretty quickly, and the other Avengers are called upon to try and stop Peter from causing irreversible damage. Doctor Strange hurls spells at him for hours, and it's still no use. Now it's no surprise that when the Hulk comes in to start smashing, the symbiote sees his power and it wants that power. It's like, oh, this guy's pretty jacked. And then when it comes into contact with the Hulk, this behemoth is born. So finally Thor comes around to hopefully try and end this disaster of a situation, but he's greeted by a creature containing the powers of both Spider-Man and the Hulk. Good game, guys. Number 8, Captain Universe Hulk. This one is short and sweet. Captain Universe isn't a person, per se, despite how the name sounds. It's the uni-power, which is an aspect of the Enigma Force. It's a manifestation of the universe itself, it's sentient, and it's on the hunt for whoever is in ultimate danger. It bonds with them. And after we just heard with Venom Hulk, it's safe to say that we're in for another bonding trait of some sorts. The unit power has bonded with Daredevil X-23, and when Banner accidentally steps on a bear trap in Captain Universe in the Hulk issue 1, he bonds with the Unipower in order to survive the cold and dangerous landscapes. Imagine just stepping on a bear trap and then all of a sudden it's like, I'm the Unipower, you need me, trust me. You're like, oh, this day sucks. Number 7, Lizard Hulk. Lizard Hulk is so much fun. Okay, let's talk about it. He comes from Earth 19919. His name is Robert Banner, and he of course has a similar origin that we're most familiar with when it comes to the Hulk. Only he was infected by the spider virus in Spider Island issue 1, released back in 2015. So now he's the Hulk, but he's got extra arms, and that means he's even more powerful. How wonderful! The Spider Queen is standing tall over Manhattan, with the residents of New York City turning into spiders. So for our heroes, it's probably best if they switch to a different animal's DNA, to avoid the whole mind control Spider Queen situation. So Captain America gets a hairy upgrade, and then the Hulk gets paired with some lizard DNA, resulting in a weird but exciting showdown. It's like Godzilla meets Ganon meets Bruce Banner. It's just a hot mess. Number 6, Nerd Hulk, aka Robert Banner. He made his first appearance in the Ultimates with Avengers issue 3. Nerd Hulk sounds like a version of the Hulk that we saw from Endgame, but there's more to it. See, this Hulk is actually referred to as Vampire King, which sounds interesting, but I'll get to that in a second. So he was a clone originally created by Stark's older brother, Gregory Stark. Now the clone has all the smarts and it has the Hulk's strength, but it lacked the anger, which Captain America wasn't really a fan of. See, Cap was also able to take him down easily, so it's clear you need to have anger in order to be the Hulk completely. So when Nerd Hulk is sent to take on Red Skull, he's actually able to crush the Cosmic Cube. Only this was an illusion and the Red Skull was able to blast Nerd Hulk away. So now we need an upgrade. We need to change something up. We can't have the Hulk just getting blasted away every time there's a mission. We needed some anger in there so our clone Robert can pull his weight, literally. So he wasn't active for a while after this point. He was even denied when he asked to rejoin the team after they took on Ghost Rider. Poor Robert. So he traveled to New York City where there just happened to be a vampire outbreak. So now he's Team Edward, vampire and all. He's working for the vamp leader referred to as Anthony. So Banner ended up disagreeing with his leadership and took him out of the picture, and he actually took his spot. So now, Nerd Vampire Hulk was the new leader of the vampires, which is pretty sweet. Something we're probably not going to get on screen, but it's nice to imagine. Number 5, Betty Ross, She-Hulk. While Jen Walters is known as the badass lawyer cousin of Bruce who also likes to get big and green and punchy, Betty Ross has also held the mantle of one of Earth's mightiest. Coming again from the Ultimate Universe, Earth 1610, Betty Ross made her first appearance in Ultimates issue 3, and she's the daughter of General Ross, and she was actually roommates with Janet Van Dyne in college. So Janet started seeing Hank Pym, that guy who's not the best at all, and then Betty started to date Bruce Banner. Now, as she watched Banner turn into the Hulk and smash things around, she actually grew to like him even more. Maybe she's into the bad boys, who knows? And then later on, Bruce had been out on trial and given the death sentence, being the Hulk and all. He got into some trouble, and she was just devastated. So at this point, Jennifer Walters comes into the picture, but not as another version of the Hulk, not as She-Hulk. No, she comes in because she cracked the code on the serum at this point. She figured it out. So Betty lied to Nick Fury and said that Jennifer Walters was actually planning on selling that serum, but really she was just pirating the new Star Trek early. Which isn't nearly as bad as selling a super serum. So Betty herself ended up injecting the serum right before jumping out of a shield jet, and then she landed on the ground, and now she announced that she is Plan B. We love a cool superhero entrance. So Betty fought Wolverine and actually managed to gouge his eyes out, which, not too shabby. Wolverine ended up winning in the long run, so now Betty is forced to wear a necklace that would choke her if she turned bigger and turned into the Hulk. Some of these stories are fun, some of them are just tragic. Betty's story is mostly tragic in this sense. Number 4, Red Hulk. He made his first appearance in the Incredible Hulk issue 1 as General Ross, but come the first issue of volume 2, Ross goes beast mode. He becomes one of the Hulk's greatest threats. He becomes the Red Hulk. Now, Red Hulk was created using gamma radiation, just like our Hulk, but what makes him even more of a menace is the fact that he also has cosmic rays added to that aggressive mix. Now, the Red Hulk doesn't get stronger the anger he gets like Bruce does, he actually gets hotter. He physically gets hotter, he starts to burn up. During one of their first run-ins with the Red Hulk, when the two Goliaths were battling it out, the sand around them while they were fighting actually turned into glass. That's how hot the Red Hulk had gotten. And when there's more glass, that just means there's more things to break. Number 3, The End Hulk. Written by Peter David, The Incredible Hulk The End shows us what Bruce Banner would look like after the rest of the world had fallen. So what happens when Bruce is the last thing alive, no thanks to his superpower? Well, in a one-shot released in 2002, we get the answer to that question. So after the events of this big nuclear fallout, Banner was the only person left alive, and the story opens up with Banner talking to just a vidbot, this floating camera that's always hovering 10 feet away from him. It's like the world's saddest vlog squad. It had found Banner when it was in the middle of confirming the eradication of humans, so now it follows him around forever, just waiting to see what happens. So Banner and the Hulk are on different levels at this point. The Hulk still wants to be a badass and fight things, but Bruce is done. He's tapped out. He looks around him and he sees giant mutated cockroaches, like, ew! He doesn't want anything to do with this planet anymore. He's done. He doesn't want to be alive anymore. But the Hulk, number 2, Infernal Hulk. In an alternate reality where Bruce Banner and the Hulk had separated, yes, it happens quite often, Bruce ended up becoming the new Sorcerer Supreme, which sounds like the improvement of a lifetime, but it's kind of not. And as for the Hulk side, oh, he gets cast into hell. Gone. Just right down below. Not as bright and optimistic, that's for sure. He makes his mark in Deadpool Annual Issue 1, and when the Hulk spends enough time in hell, he's bound to change, and I mean probably for the worse. He becomes the Infernal Hulk. And when Spider-Man and normal green version of Banner come from a parallel universe, the only way he's defeated is when he's tricked to destroy the Eye of Agamotto, which in turn banishes him back down to the underworld. So he's just destined for hell at this point. And finally, number 1, Joe Fixit Grey Hulk. Back in the day, Stan Lee actually wanted the Hulk to be gray, but due to ink and production problems, it ended up turning out green. Luckily, I mean, that's all we're used to now. Imagine if this guy was gray this whole time, that'd be kind of weird. So our first look back in 1962 at the Hulk was actually this gray version. Now, it was explained in the comics that basically because of Bruce Banner's repetitive use of the gamma radiation projectors, the character's skin went from being gray to green. So it made sense in the story. Now, the Gray Hulk and the Green Hulk are pretty much battling each other in Banner's mind. So they give the Grey Hulk a different identity now by referring to him as Joe Fixit, this tough, big, bad security guard who works at a casino in Las Vegas. Now, Grey Hulk doesn't get mad as fast. He's actually pretty intelligent and quite manipulative, which makes him even more of a threat. Now, the Grey Hulk would often come out at night, and then he'd go back to normal by dawn, which is just a nightmare. Imagine seeing this guy in the middle of the night, you're just walking in your car, and you're like, is that the Hulk? Why is he wearing a suit? Why is he shuffling cards? What is this dude? There have been rumors that the Grey Hulk will make an appearance in the She-Hulk Disney Plus show. I mean, we saw Grey Vision, so now a Grey Hulk? Huh, how lucky are we? Number 10, the Hulk. The story we're most familiar with is one that I must start with. With skin that is impenetrable to just about anything and super bad super strength, the Incredible Hulk is a force you don't want in any kind of way. Created by the late Jack Kirby and Stan Lee, the Hulk is created when Bruce Banner is accidentally exposed to a gamma bomb. Making his first debut in the Incredible Hulk number 1 in 1962, we've seen many different variations of the big green guy, portrayed by actors such as Lou Ferrigno, Eric Bana, Edward Norton, and most notably Mark Ruffalo.
Yeah, Mark Ruffalo.
He gets stronger the more angry you make him, which makes fighting this guy a really tough time. He even lifted an entire island in Secret Wars. An island. Who do you guys think played Bruce Banner the best in the movies, by the way? Let us know in the comments. We're curious over here. Number 9, She-Hulk. Now, of course, we have to include Banner's cousin, Jennifer Walters. So, while on the verge of death, Bruce Banner gave Jennifer a very small transfusion of Hulk's blood to save her life. What a great cousin. All my cousins do is comment how lame my selfies are on Facebook. The transfusion gave her a very mild version of the Hulk's powers. So yes, She-Hulk is green, and yes, she gets stronger the angrier she gets, but she can change whenever she wants. She's the Hulk, but she still has a hand on the wheel, basically. Now, there are times where she gets a bit too angry and can't control herself, but most of the time, she knows what she's doing. Tatiana Mason Lee will play She-Hulk in her upcoming series on Disney Plus, set to be released in 2022, and we're all looking forward to that. I know it's gonna be great. Number 8, Doc Green. So after Hulk had gotten shot in the head by the Ancient Order of the Shield, Tony Stark came in yet again to save the day. How, you ask? Well, he used his Extremis virus and injected it into the Hulk to undo damage from the bullet. Not a bad idea, Stark, not a bad idea. We'll give you that. The only side effect was the brand new genius personality for the green guy. That's right, the Hulk had now acquired Banner's smarts. So the next logical step for Doc Green was to create a serum that strips the powers from the other Hulks, because he didn't want there to be any others like him, especially being smart and all. He knew it wasn't a good idea. Eventually the virus had gotten removed and Doc Green reverted back into the Hulk. Thank God. I feel like we don't need a smart Hulk. Like Valkyrie said in Endgame, I think I liked you better either of the other ways. She's on to something. 7, Savage She-Hulk. She's the daughter of Hulk and Thundra, so you already know we gotta include her in this list. She's a very unique version of the hero. For starters, she doesn't get stronger when she gets angry. Instead, she becomes more powerful the more calm she is. That'd be a strange sight to see. Well, I'm going to kill you now. That's wild. So where did these powers come from? Well, when Thundra went back in time, she fought the Hulk. But then the two became friends by the end of it and even shared a kiss. How lovely. So once back in her own timeline, she used the leftover Hulk DNA, added it to her DNA, and then poof, you have Lyra, the savage She-Hulk. Number 6, Maestro. Okay, remember in Avengers Endgame when Scott Lang tests out the quantum tunnel? He goes from being an adult to an old man to a baby back to an adult. It's actually a pretty comical scene, but what if one of the other Avengers went in? Like, what if you aged the Hulk? Well, making his first appearance in a vision in the Incredible Hulk Volume 2 issue 401, Maestro was the main antagonist in the Incredible Hulk Future Imperfect. The story takes place about 100 or so years in the future after a nuclear war has put the planet close to extinction. So an alternate version of the Hulk, Maestro, had been absorbing all the nuclear radiation the entire time and ended up becoming the strongest thing on the planet. Massive increases in strength and anger, plus the brains of Banner made him arguably unstoppable. I would love to see this version of Hulk on the big screen. In fact, I'd love to see an old version of pretty much any of the Avengers. Not just the scene with old Cap, because you know, then I'll cry. Again. Oh, speaking of Old Man Hulk, number 5. Old Man Hulk. In the Old Man Logan storyline, Hulk was actually a villain. Traitor. Alongside Dr. Doom, Magneto, and Abomination, he actually ends up being the final villain for the story. He ended up having kids with none other than his own cousin, Jennifer Walters, aka She-Hulk. Okay, interesting choice. Well, it's because she couldn't be poisoned by the radiation, so it made sense to do it, I guess. After they had referred to themselves as Hulk Gang, what up? Some members of the family ended up killing Wolverine's family. Not a good idea. So retired Old Man Logan Wolverine got pissed and killed basically everybody except old Banner and one young offspring. Banner then turns into a very large, very angry monster and swallows Wolverine whole. That's right, he eats him. See, normally you would think that's the end of it, but that is until Wolverine cut through him from the inside and broke free, killing Old Man Hulk in the process. I don't know who I'd rather be in that situation. Like, would you rather be swallowed by a Hulk or would you rather swallow a sharp Old Man Logan? Both sound unpleasant. Number 4, War Hulk. In X-Men Apocalypse, we caught a glimpse at the Horseman. Apocalypse surrounded himself with the likes of Storm, Cyclops, Gambit, and Archangel before going for Magneto himself. But what if he recruited the Hulk? Well, that's exactly what sort of happened in the Onslaught storyline. After the Hulk and Banner split into 2 separate units and were on different Earths, so the angry green guy ended up being recruited to serve as War, thus giving us War Hulk. This version is a treat. So Apocalypse added to his already terrifying set of skills. The Beast was unstoppable at this point. Even Apocalypse had to put a cap on what he was able to do, because, well, I mean, look at him. Times like these, I really wish Marvel had all the rights to their Fox characters. As much as I love Days of Future Past, this would have been a great way to mix up Banner's storyline in the MCU drastically. Eventually, we got to see this Beast version of Hulk in Thor Ragnarok, based on the storyline none other than number 3, Planet Hulk. Arguably the best scene from Thor Ragnarok is when Hulk is the champion of the arena at Sakaar. Once Thor realizes that this is not the same Hulk he'd worked with in previous Avengers movies, he had to really put up a fight, and it was awesome to see. To see those two battle it out again after their 2012 Avengers fight, what a ride. This plot comes from the Planet Hulk storyline. So after the Illuminati decided he's too much of a threat to Earth, they send him off on a mission to destroy a rogue satellite. Survey says that was a lie. They were actually intending to send him off to a peaceful planet. But wormholes exist, so the trip went south and Hulk ended up landing on Sakaar, where he is forced to fight for the planet's emperor, the Red King, which in the movie was actually the Grandmaster, played by the most handsome man on the planet, Jeff Goldblum. And if you haven't seen Thor Ragnarok, do yourself a favor and go watch it twice. Hulk plus weapons equals scary. Number 2, World War Hulk. In the sequel to Planet Hulk, Hulk heads to New York City and gives the Illuminati, which is Iron Man, Doctor Strange, Reed Richards, an ultimatum to turn themselves in. The Hulk blames them for the death of his pregnant wife, so he's not too patient. He gives them 24 hours before he would then destroy Manhattan. That's the scariest thing. Imagine seeing that on the news. You're like, can we go? Can we get the hell out of here? Literally nobody can stop him. Doctor Strange even got in his head and tried to talk him down, and it of course does not work. Iron Man attempts to level the Beast with his Hulkbuster armor, but We all know how that would go. It fails. For a guy who gets stronger the angrier he gets, this is quite the event. I feel like this would have been a great on-screen plot as well. I mean, if Banner had come back from Sakaar still angry and out of control, who knows what he would have done to the Avengers, especially if Nat wasn't around? Oh boy. And finally, number 1, Amadeus Cho. Making his debut in Amazing Fantasy Volume 2, number 15, Korean-American raised in Arizona, Amadeus Cho participated in a quiz show named Brain Fight. How fitting. At just the age of 15, Amadeus won that quiz show. He won $5,000 while being deemed the 7th smartest man in the world. Not a bad title at all. I think I'm like number 9, maybe 10, I don't know. 11? Really? Okay. The organizer of the quiz show is none other than Pythagoras Dupree. He was the 6th smartest man in the world and basically just wanted to find the biggest brain and take out the competition. Pythagoras sent out a squad of goons to kill Amadeus. Barely escaping, he ran away and then he met the Incredible Hulk. Years later, Amadeus would eventually become totally awesome Hulk. See, he got stuck with a dangerous amount of radiation that should have made him go mad, but instead he used special nanites to absorb the Hulk's powers. Nice. He took pride in trying to be a better, smarter Hulk. What a good guy, what a good kid, rather. At one point, he actually exiled himself into space on a satellite, just so he could study himself and make sure he still has the ability to control everything that's going on.
Number 10, Pitt. This one is a little more loosely connected in terms of story, but the look and connection of Pitt's creator to Hulk is what causes comic fans to draw parallels. Pitt was originally created by Dale Keown for Image Comics. He first appeared in his own self-titled series Pitt in the 90s, and wow, he definitely has a 90s look. Check out that sweet studded leather vest with plaid-inspired lining and all of those chains. You can never wear too many chains in the 90s. Dale Keown, Pitt's creator, was well known for his work as a penciler on the Incredible Hulk series during Peter David's run, and it's usually this connection and Pitt's ginormous, muscle-bound appearance that make people think of the Hulk when they see him. Pitt himself was a human-alien hybrid creature from outer space who was created in a lab aboard a spaceship. It's like a cosmic Hulk. Number 9, Rampage. Not just taking inspiration from the Hulk, but likely taking inspiration from his cousin, Jennifer Walters, aka She-Hulk, as well. Rampage was originally known simply as Kitty Faulkner. Dr. Kitty Faulkner, that is. Kitty was a brilliant scientist working for Star Labs. An accident wherein Kitty was exposed to massive solar radiation during a demonstration gone wrong caused her to be transformed, however, into the orange giantess known as Rampage, who also sported a red mohawk. A fight with Superman where he absorbed excess radiation from her giantess Rampage form caused her to return once more to her human appearance as Dr. Faulkner. There would be other times, however, that Kitty would return to her Rampage form. Like She-Hulk, she also appears to keep her wits while in her Hulkish appearance. Number 8, OMAC. OMAC stands for One Machine Attack Construct, and was created by Brother Eye to be used in their war against those who would oppress them. Originally in New 52, OMAC was the human known as Kevin Coe. Kevin Coe was an employee of Project Cadmus who would be taken over and in essence assimilated into the being referred to as OMAC, a servant and warrior of Brother Eye. Brother Eye can activate OMAC whenever they like, transforming Kevin into the biotech being possessing super strength and durability known as OMAC. While in this form, originally Brother Eye would be in complete control of OMAC. However, when Brother Eye was killed, they gave Kevin both his personality and control back as one of their last actions. The consequence of this was that Kevin would no longer be able to revert to his human form, becoming only OMAC. Number 7, Doomsday. While Doomsday and the Hulk bear some differences, a big one being that Doomsday is traditionally a villain, whereas Hulk is usually more recognized as a hero, they also bear similarities too. Both were created through experimentation, one an accident, one on purpose. Both are super strong, monster-like creatures, and they even bear a resemblance to one another. Doomsday is gray, which actually was the color Stan Lee originally wanted for the Hulk's appearance. However, when problems surrounding this desire arose, they turned the Hulk green instead. When Doomsday first fully appeared in Superman the Man of Steel issue 18, he was seen wearing a containment suit. And while Doomsday might be gray, his containment suit was very green, which all added to his Hulk-like appearance, in my opinion. Of course, the suit was likely added to create intrigue as to who or what was lurking within it. But still, it's interesting that DC decided to pick the color green as opposed to any other color. There's a lot of other colors out there, folks. Number 6, Doomed. If you thought Doomsday was a Hulk ripoff and you're feeling me there, you are going to love this one. Doomed was created when Metropolis University student Riser was infected with the Doomsday virus, similar to other versions of the virus we've seen pop up in the comics, but not quite as deadly as the one from the Dark Multiverse. Instead of killing Riser, it transformed him into a monster-like creature known as Doomed. He had similar powers to Doomsday, but has never really been considered a villain, more of a hero. Immediately after his transformation, Doom was forced to flee the authorities, who saw him as a monster due to the accidents that he caused, despite the fact that Doomed attempted to actually save those that he had endangered, and he didn't intend to create any of that chaos. Riser would transition between his Doomsday form and human form, and would end up being affiliated with the Teen Titans for a time. Number 5. Loose Cannon. This Hulk ripoff even has his strength levels similarly tied to his emotions. The angrier he gets, the bigger and stronger he gets. Loose Cannon was created by Jeff Loeb and Lee Moder, and is basically a big blue version of Hulk who was originally the human Eddie Walker. Walker regained the use of his legs, which had been disabled in a car accident when his metahuman gene was activated, turning him into the hero known as Loose Cannon, who was later redesigned during New 52 to be a Teen Titans villain instead. Eddie's skin has also been known to change color with his mood as well, and while he does appear to be similar to the Hulk in terms of powers, transformation, and abilities, he also bears a striking resemblance to Hank McCoy, the bouncing blue beast of Marvel's X-Men, especially his New Earth design. Number 4. Damage. Ever wondered what would happen if Captain America's exposure to the super soldier serum actually turned him into a monster? Well, wonder no more. DC has the answer to your question with one of their very own Hulk ripoffs. Damage is Ethan Avery, a youngster who grew up admiring superheroes and wanting to be just like them. At one point during his time serving in the military, he was offered an opportunity to become just that, and of course, jumped at it. He volunteered for the Damage program, a program that used experimental procedures in an attempt to create superheroes. Ethan passed all the necessary tests after applying and was given the Damage serum, which transformed him for 1 hour each day into a super strong, monster-like creature who bears a striking resemblance to the Hulk, down to his tattered pants. While in this form, Ethan would have very little control and basically adopt another rage-fueled berserker persona, also similar to the Hulk. Number 3. Behemoth. Behemoth comes to us from DC's Earth 8. He was basically designed to be a mock version of the Hulk. He's pretty much parody Hulk, where instead of Hulk being a big, ripped, muscly giant, he's a big, blue, oversized man baby. Literally. He even wears a diaper. Behemoth was created by Grant Morrison, who tweaked the world of Earth 8 to make it basically be DC's alternate universe version of Marvel 616. On Earth 8, Behemoth is part of a team known as the Retaliators. I wonder what famous Marvel team that name could be referring to. The Retaliators. Number 2. Monster. Monster was introduced during Superman/Batman. He was basically a big green powerful monster who was possessed by Kryptonite Man and created by Joker and Mr. Mxyzptlk, who had seemingly teamed up to take down both of their sworn enemies, Batman and Superman. Seemingly. Monster wasn't the only one they created, however. No. He was part of a team known as the Maximums, a parallel to Marvel's Ultimate Supers originating from Earth 1610. All you have to do is look at Monster though to really see how much of a ripoff of the original Hulk he really is. Number 1. Smash. Smash was basically Rob Liefeld's attempt at salvaging work he'd already completed but was unable to use. Liefeld had been working with Marvel previously on Captain America stuff, but when Liefeld kept apparently missing deadlines and sales ended up being not where Marvel had hoped, they let him go. The book was moved over to Wildstorm, and Liefeld's direction for the plot was pretty much fully abandoned, but he still found a way to make use of the work that he had already done, creating a new character for the comic Fighting American with Awesome Comics, which was started by Liefeld. Smash, which looked a lot like another very familiar Marvel powerhouse, but purple instead of green, and wearing a chain around his neck. That's about it.